Ready to roll?
Yes, sir.
All right, Tristan Garland, thank you so much for coming on to the show today. You're one of my best friends, have been for a long time, and I think you have a really remarkable story and you're a remarkable person. So again, thank you.
My pleasure.
Right on. So, I mean, where do we even begin, man? Like, yeah, how did Tristan Garland become this ridiculously funny, hardworking, goofy, dancing, there's too many things to say that you are. You're a well-rounded person, but you didn't come from an environment that would guarantee that you'd become this interesting, good person. So tell us about where you come from and why you're this way.
Well, I come from a family that struggled with opioid addiction. Like before I was born, my mom and my dad both struggled a lot with opioid addiction, and then when I was born, they couldn't take care of me. So my grandparents actually took me in instead, and they raised me. And I think a lot of me, like who I am, is I have a lot of role models, and I think I like to take bits and pieces out of everybody I like and kind of incorporate them into myself a little bit, and kind of I'm always trying to change a little bit, in the best way I can possible. But
you credit you not being like your parents to some role models that you have.
Yeah. I think to name a couple. I mean, you're obviously a really big one.
Well, I'm honored. Thank you.
And Joey Reese is also a really big role model of mine. I really like unique people. I really like determined people. I really like people who are just very driven, and people who, when they walk into a room, everybody knows who they are because they're such good people. And that's kind of me.
Well, who's Joey Reese? For the vast majority of people will not know who that is.
Joey Reese is where do I start with him? I met him at an open mat in high school. I was actually wrestling with you. Joey came in, and I was kind of a wimp and kind of like a tubby kid at that time, and so I went over and wrestled with Joey, and I got my butt kicked, and then he went back to wrestling with Paul because he was getting ready for the state tournament. And then I didn't see Joey for a while, but then a couple years later, he started working at the pool, and he does MMA fighting, and he trains like crazy. He's one of the only people I think that I've met that trains much, much harder than me. I do know I train hard, and Joey is, he's crazy. His work ethic is just out of this world. I could say good things about him all day.
Mm-hmm. No, it's rare to find people that really, really work hard. I find that if you experiment with trying to have workout buddies and stuff, it's rare to find someone that will come close to tears or will at least be dripping sweat after a good hard workout. Most guys go in there and hit a few curls and they're pretty much done. Go home and take a picture, drink some protein after or something.
Yeah, I don't really like lifting with people. I think it kind of slows me down a little bit. But I do lift with people sometimes, but most of the time I'm very set on a schedule when I lift, and I like to I know exactly how long everything is going to take me in the gym usually. So it's it's very measured, I guess.
Well, tell us a little more before we jump into too much of the today stuff. Let's figure out more where you come from.
Yeah. Okay.
So what environment did you grow up in? You said quickly that you came from a family of opioid addicts. Tell us more about what the environment was like when you were growing up.
Well, I wouldn't say all of them were addicted to opioids, but my mother and my father. My father was he was actually a drug dealer, and my mother was just an addict who happened to be dating him.
And where did this take place? I'm sorry.
Pontiac. Yeah.
Pontiac. Okay.
Pontiac actually has a really bad opioid problem. There was a statistic a couple years ago. I think it was 1 in 5 people that you meet in Pontiac could tell you where you could get heroin. Or some sort of narcotic or something like that. It's bad there.
That's insane. Yeah, yes. I had on the guy that's running for sheriff, Tom Vigaski, and he says that it's on the rise right now and just continues to climb. I think even more so with COVID, and there's like a sharp spike or a mega rise in fentanyl, and I don't know what that is exactly, but it's bad news in Pontiac. Although it's I like the town. It's kind of a hub for a lot of that activity, so I've been told.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So anyway, you said your mom was just kind of got wrapped up with your dad, who was the dealer and she was the addict.
Yes, and they kind of, I mean, they actually like sold drugs together and stuff. Like they would do all this stuff together. But when I was born, like my grandparents took, I think it was like a couple days after. I can't remember exactly how long after I was born, but very soon after I was born, my grandparents became my legal guardians. And I would say another role model of mine is my grandfather, because he's one of the hardest working people I've ever met. He worked for the same company since he was 19 years old. It was a plumbing, like a local 99 pipe fitters type deal. I can't.
He's doing some trade work.
Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. And he did that all the way until he was 67 or 68. I don't know how old he is now, but he did it for a long time, and I would not be able to do that. That would drive me crazy.
I kind of like those guys. I like the guys that do a hard job, a trade, for many years, and they just keep climbing the ladder and getting better and better. There's something about them, like they're disciplined because they're doing a job that's not exactly super enjoyable for a long time, and they often don't miss days. They're reliable. The more reliable they are, the longer they stay in it, the better reviews they get and credibility they have, and just something about that. The people that get up early every day and work hard and they stick with a thing, it's like you can't help but respect those people, and that was your grandpa.
Yeah, and my grandma, when he would go to work, she actually retired around the time I was born, a little bit after I was born, and then they became my guardians, and then my grandma would watch me during the day, and my grandpa would come home at like 4 o'clock. But my mom and my Uncle Dustin, who is her twin brother, they would kind of come around a lot, and they would ask for money, and my Uncle Dustin was also addicted to heroin. He still is. We just don't know like what state he's in right now. He just kind of fled Illinois because.
Oh, you not physical state. Physical state, but you don't. I thought you meant like we don't know if he's in a good state or a bad state. You mean physical? He might be in Iowa.
Yeah, we don't know where he is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he just he got caught with a bunch of stuff a couple years ago, and then somehow fled and went to a different state, and we haven't heard from him.
So that your mom and your uncle were both heroin addicts, and and you were staying at their parents' place, your grandparents.
Yes, yeah, and kind of like most of my young life, like they would be in and out of prison a lot. I didn't really have a super good relationship with like my mom or my Uncle Dustin. Like I had some good memories with my Uncle Dustin, but like. I mean, I'd say actually probably one of the only good memories I have with him is that he showed me a lot of music, a lot of rap music. Like that's a big part of me is I love rap music. I love good storytelling in rap music, and he showed me that. But he also would steal stuff from me. Like there was this one time my grandfather got an iPad from his work, and he didn't know how to use it, so he gave it to me. And my Uncle Dustin came by, and he was going to stay with us for a couple days. And he said, if you let me borrow the iPad until Monday, I will give you $30. And like, I'm a little kid, so $30 is a lot of money to me. And I'm like, sure. And so I give it to him, and he's like, all right, I got to drop it off at this person's house, and they're going to keep it for the weekend, and we'll get it on Monday. And that person was a drug dealer, and I just had a weird feeling about that. So I told my grandfather when I got home, and he like freaked out on my Uncle Dustin. He told him like, you know, you need to get your ass in town and get that. And I'm not giving you a ride. You can walk. And he did. He walked like 3 miles into town, and then he walked back, and he got back like late at night.
Did your Uncle Dustin live with you guys?
No, he would just like stop by very, very often, and he would ask for stuff. Like ask for favors, ask for money, ask for a ride somewhere, or he would just ask to stay for a while, like hang out, and then he would end up basically living with us for a little bit, periods at a time.
So how old do you think you were when your parents gave you to your grandparents?
I think it was like about a month after I was born. If I had to guess, I think it was about a month.
A month after you were born. So you never really had your real parents, your biological parents, as your parental figures.
No.
Never?
No.
Okay. Was that weird for you at all to grow up with grandparents as your guardians?
I think it was to other people because, like, it's, for me, it was all I ever knew, really. Like, as far back as I can remember, like, I've always just been with my grandparents. But to other people who see me getting dropped off at school by my grandparents all the time, they're like, why does he live with his grandparents? What's up with that? But to me, it was pretty normal. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What do you have any memories of like drug usage in your house growing up, or were you completely oblivious?
I mean, I was pretty oblivious. I mean, sometimes I'd walk by my Uncle Dustin and I could smell a bunch of marijuana on his breath, but I didn't know that's what it was. But then, like, as I got older, I really started to notice, okay, like, there's clearly something wrong with him when he's walking around the house at like 2 a.m. and stuff like that. Like, he's just kind of not all there, my Uncle Dustin, really. Or, well, my mom's kind of all there too, but my uncle is far less, I think.
Did you see your parents very often? Did they ever come around? Or
Well, my dad actually, a little bit after I was born, he turned himself in and he got clean, which is awesome. I'm really happy for him.
Okay.
Not a lot of people are able to beat opioid addiction. It is one of the hardest drugs to get off of. And he did that. And I think when I was like 6 or 7, he got out of prison and I started to form a relationship with him. I wouldn't say I'm like super duper close with him, but I do like to keep in touch with him because he is my dad. But I think my real father figure is my grandfather.
Oh, well, sure, yeah. He's the one that taught you everything you know. You can probably credit a lot of the good things about yourself to him.
Yeah. And sorry,
you're good,
the mic. But there was actually one experience I think I should mention because it's a pretty significant one. About noticing like drug use in the house. So there was one time during my senior year of high school, and I was in this musical, and it was the week of the show, and we had musical practice Monday through Friday from 6 to 9, and it was the beginning of that week, and I got home from practice at 9 p.m., and my uncle was staying with us for a little bit. He'd been staying with us for like a couple weeks at this point. But anyways, I walk into my house and he's sitting to the right of me on our couch and he's just watching TV. He's like, "What's up, bud?" I don't think anything of it. And I go to my room, I play some video games. And then when I come out to get some water later, I find him like half in, half out of this bathroom doorway. And
here, pick this thing up and tilt it straight just so you don't
like that.
And then turn it a little more
like
so
that.
It's yes, perfect. Okay. So you come out, he's half in, half out of something.
Yeah, he's half in, half out of the like bathroom doorway. He's on the ground. And he's like not moving at all. I'm looking at him and I'm filling up my water and I can't believe what I'm looking at because it's like, dude, is he dead? Like,
so you walked into the bathroom and filled up your water and, over top of it?
No. Okay. So here's my kitchen, and then there's a doorway here, and then there's our laundry room, and then there's another doorway that goes into the bathroom.
Okay.
And the door was open, and he was on the ground, like, out.
And you see his feet sticking out in the hallway or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm like, what do I do? Like, is he dead? And so I take some of my water and I kind of like pour a little bit on his face to see if he reacts because it's cold water. So like if he's awake, he'll move, or if he's responding, he'll move or something. And nothing happened, and his face started getting purple, and then I was like, okay. So I went into my grandma's room and I was like, hey, I think Dustin overdosed. I just assumed that's what it was because it's like, what else could it be? Like I didn't see a needle or anything anywhere. But anyways, for a moment there, though, I really stopped and thought. I was like, he's probably going to die of an overdose someday. Like, should I just let him go? That sounds bad, but it's like that could be what happens someday. You know, he might never beat his addiction.
There's a thing when people who are dealing with a loved one with Alzheimer's, when the person with Alzheimer's does die, the majority of them say they feel relief. And I assume it could be similar when you have a loved one, especially one that lives with you, who's a constant narcotics user, to think, you know, boy, you put us through a lot of pain and a lot of grief. And for them to think that they might have overdosed, of course that thought crosses your mind. It's like, you know what, maybe it's all over and it was going to happen sometime. So and it does sound harsh, and it's not right necessarily to think that way, but it's completely warranted, I would say.
Yeah, and I think it also helps that's not what I ended up like doing. Like, I didn't just I was like, you know, all right,
then we might have a problem.
So we called the ambulance and they got there, and the police also came, and they're familiar with my Uncle Dustin. And then when they revived him, they just took him to either the hospital or jail for the night. I don't remember. I think he went to the hospital. And they did find a needle at that time is when they found it. He had it in his pocket. He had another one in his pocket. I'm sorry. And the one he used actually was on the floor under him. He'd fell on it. Like, not with the needle in his arm. I don't, you know. He must have just injected it and then dropped it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and what the police probably did from my talk with Tom Vigaski was they probably shot him up with
Narcan.
Narcan, right? Yeah, and just it makes him somehow makes him breathe again. I don't know.
They wake right up. It's really weird. I don't know exactly how they do it. I think it's like a shot or something that they just kind of stick in them and then they're back.
Well, hey, real quick on that positive note, you know, because he lived, right? He lived, and he's still around today.
Yeah, but I don't. Well, actually, I don't know. That's it.
Oh.
Like I said, I don't know where he is, so I don't know if he's alive or not.
Goodness.
I hope so. I hope he's.
In the spirit of hoping he's still around and he's doing well, I would just like to take a second to say thanks to a few sponsors of this show. So, firstly, are you a sharp, charismatic, and intelligent, independent person? I apologize. This is the first time I'm doing this. In the middle of the show, I'm reading straight to you guys because I care. I want to keep these advertisements sharp. But are you a sharp, charismatic, independent person living in Central Illinois? Garland, are you listening?
Yes, I am.
Are you looking for an exciting job with flexible hours where you will hone your sales and communication and marketing skills and only occasionally be asked to come to a physical location in Fairbury? Well then, if you are, listen up, because Aftershock Decals and Design is a premier graphic design studio that's looking for a part-time salesperson to join their growing team. Whether you're a student looking to get some valuable experience while pursuing your degree, or stay-at-home mom, say, who's craving some part-time work and extra income, or someone who's just sick and tired of working an 8-to-5 desk job, this position could be exactly what you're looking for. On a personal note, I've worked with this team at Aftershock Decals and Design a number of times, and they are excellent, and there's a reason why they're adding to their team, and it's because they make tons of great products, and they're growing every year. This is a fantastic opportunity to sharpen your sales chops and earn some serious dough. So if you're interested, send an email or email your resume to Kirk, K-I-R-K, at aftershockdd.com, or apply online at aftershockdd.com/jobs to begin what might be your dream career. And also, of course, if you didn't know, Valentine's Day is coming up, and you do not want to be the person who doesn't get your special someone a beautiful bouquet of flowers. The gift of flowers has long been a way of expressing your love and admiration for your significant other on this centuries-old holiday. But if you attempt to go out and find your own flowers, arrange them nicely, and get them to your person on time, you can go wrong in so many different ways. Lucky for you, though, Nature's Designs by Tiff in Fairbury is taking all the stress out of the holiday this year so that you can fully enjoy it with the person you love. Just call them up at 815-692-3024 and tell them that you'd like some flowers to be delivered to your loved one's address on Valentine's Day. And get this, you can even ask them to deliver it in the morning or in the afternoon, and they can include chocolates, stuffed animals, candles, bath products, plants, and other cute gift items as well to really put a smile on your loved one's face. So don't delay. Call up Nature's Designs by Tiff at 815-692-3024 and schedule your incredible Valentine's Day delivery package and make this Valentine's Day the best one yet. I love Valentine's Day, don't you?
Yeah, Valentine's Day is pretty cool.
Yeah. You know what the whole holiday's around St. Valentine? You know that story?
I knew it was around St. Valentine, but I don't know about St. Valentine. So
pretty sure he was like a priest or something that in like the Middle Ages would wed army, military people that weren't allowed to get married. He would kind of marry them in secret. It was a really romantic, cool thing. But anyway, so you grew up around these hard drugs. I assume there were some bad habits around that you could have easily caught on to. It's amazing you never got sucked into the world of hard drugs yourself. Why? Did you ever develop any bad habits or get close, you think, to doing drugs or becoming a person you didn't want to become?
Yeah. When I was really younger, I had a problem with stealing, like a bad problem. Like there was one time when I was in like 3rd grade, I straight up went into a kid's locker at school and stole his phone out of his book bag. And then I got a call at my house later that evening, and it was this kid's parents, and they were like, hey, this is Mrs. Burton, and I just wanted to say I know your grandson stole my son's phone. We can see the location on it. And they were like, so...
People can hear it on the audio, so...
Okay. Oh, I just about did it. But
so they said, we see the location. Garland, we know it's you.
Yeah, they were like, give it up. And so... we drove there, and my grandparents made me get out. This was good of them to do. They made me get out and physically walk up and be like, here's your phone.
Dude, you were probably sweating.
Bullets. Yeah, dude, like I was so scared and I was so embarrassed. And like I think that's what I needed to get over that habit, was to be embarrassed. Like, because it's like it's clearly embarrassing. It's like, why would I need to steal this? And I just felt like I had to. I wanted it so bad. I couldn't wait to get one myself. And so I stole it, and then I got caught, and then I didn't steal stuff anymore, really.
Man, incredibly valuable lesson there. And for a kid to have to go face the music, just you at the front door of this kid's house, that's powerful stuff. And I remember in 7th, it might have been, it was 5th grade. 5th grade, I remember I was trying to flirt with this girl. Lexi is her name. She might watch this, and she might remember this pretty well. But her name was Lexi. I took her phone. I was like, I'm going to call the Baptist church. Because she went to the Baptist church in Fairbury, who I might be doing a commercial for. Please don't cancel that because of this. But so I pulled up the phone. I showed her, like, look, Baptist church. I'm going to call them and tell them I hate their church. And she's like, no, Paul, don't do that. Thinking I wouldn't, because I wasn't planning on it. I hit call, and it didn't, I heard no noise when I put it to my ear. And so I was like, okay, silence. It didn't actually call. It looks like I'm calling, though. So I said, my name's Paul Garcia, and I just think this church is the worst. It's so incorrect. I can't believe it. You guys are corrupt. I just said everything terrible that could come to my 5th grade mind. And then I went, boop. And I remember it said, like, call ended. I'm like, wait a minute. I didn't think it had even begun, really.
It was recording that whole time.
So anyways, I gave her phone back, and she leaves. It's at a basketball game. She comes back in. She's like, Paul, my dad wants to talk to you. And all of a sudden, like, lightning bolts in my brain. I'm like, oh, no.
Like, you knew it right away. You felt it.
I was like, I knew something fishy was going on when I didn't hear anything on the phone. But anyway, he's like, who are you to say that to my church? I literally called their church. It's like the pastor, the main guy's line. I told him these horrible things. And anyway, long story short, he was ticked, and he came and picked me up from my mom's house and made me go to the pastor's house, who I had just said I hated his church and said they were horrible, terrible, everything bad.
That's
I was
good.
Like,
they made you confront it.
They did. And I never made a call like that again.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
Exactly. Sometimes you need that. You just need to get embarrassed and humbled, really, you know.
I remember you told me one time about a story where you stole something else. You know what I'm talking about? Cross.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Could you tell that story?
Yes, this story is crazy. I used to live, when I lived with my grandparents, we lived in a house out in Chenoa, like literally right across the street from the Catholic cemetery. And like, I have a very wild imagination. Like, so if I got bored in the house, I would go outside and just kind of explore and, see what was going on outside. And sometimes I would walk over to the cemetery. And people loved ones, I'm assuming, of people who have passed away. You know, sometimes they'll put like jewelry or like crosses in front of like the tombstones and stuff. And I remember one time I was walking around and I came across this really pretty, like, it was huge. It was a cross probably like this big, and it was like stained glass on it. Like, it was very, very nice. And I was like, I like that. And I took it. And then I took it home, and I sat it up on my windowsill. So like it was like its own little like shrine. I was like, oh, this is so pretty. It looks good here. And then my grandparents, I think my grandma saw it. She was like, where'd you get that? And I said, oh, I got it from the cemetery. She got really mad and made me go try to put it back, but I could not remember where I got it from. So that's not so good. But
watch someone watch this and they've been looking for this cross that was like worth thousands of dollars for years.
I just sat it on a tombstone around that area, but like that's another one of those, like that's like the other significant story I have of stealing something. Like, that was really bad, and I didn't realize how bad that was in the moment there. Mm-hmm. And then they explained it to me later, like, ooh.
Would you say you were a troubled kid at all?
Yeah, I didn't really do well in school either, and I would get like picked on a lot. I mean, I know I've always been like different, a little bit different. Like, I'm very passionate. I'm very I feel like I'm very feminine for like a guy.
Which is interesting because, and I think I'm feminine in some ways, but you're also extremely masculine in others. So it's interesting.
Maybe like physically masculine. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm dude, sorry, I keep drawing blanks.
You're fine.
So bad.
No, who cares? You're saying, you know, you're. Why did you say you were feminine? Because
I think that's one of my very defining characteristics. Like, I think I'm, how do I describe it? I don't know. I just feel like I don't like the stuff guys like as much. Like, I don't like sports as much. I don't like watching football. I like lifting weights. That's one masculine thing, I guess. But I'm more like, I like art, and I like girly stuff.
It's so strange. It's like, who cares? Honestly,
no.
I'm not big on football. I love the arts as well. I love beautiful music. I love gorgeous art. Like, I can talk about that stuff. Mm-hmm. I also love electronics and like video and beautiful video. I don't know if that could be more feminine. Who gives a rip? Like, I think some of the more masculine things are somewhat shallow intellectually. Mm-hmm. You know, if you can sit and just talk about, maybe some people get mad at me for that, but I'm not big in sports. I don't know jack about basketball. Mm-hmm. I thought you could name a team. I couldn't tell you what sport it is, if it's college or professional. Like the Golden State Warriors, I thought that was a college team for a long time. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know if it's professional in this moment for sure.
It is, yeah. I'm not that familiar with sports and stuff, but yeah, I know it's a professional basketball team. I think another thing that's really like typically
stop banging the thing.
Sorry, I'm just gonna move
yeah,
this
let
thing
go
away.
of it.
Yeah,
let go of it.
I just feel like I got to be doing something with my hands.
I understand.
I think another thing too is like, I like to talk about my feelings I use people as my therapy a lot. Like, strangers I'll meet every day. Maybe I share too much. Like, I'll run into people and I'll be like, hey, how are you doing? And then, you know, maybe they'll say something a little revealing, and then I'll say something a little more revealing, and then I'll end up having an hour or 2 hour long conversation with a stranger I've just met. There's been many times where I've had that, and it's crazy.
I think that's a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, and it's I have not always been able to do that. Like, when I was little, I had a lot of trouble talking to people. I still kind of do, because I'm always thinking, so it's kind of like sometimes I can get lost in what I'm saying and what I'm thinking, and it's like it gets very chaotic. But I can talk better to people, if that makes sense, than when I did when I was a little kid. Like, I was much more awkward and shy.
And you must enjoy it. You must enjoy conversation. Otherwise, it wouldn't last for 2 hours with strangers.
Yeah,
they must enjoy it as well, because otherwise it wouldn't last 2 hours.
Yeah, I just like learning about people. Like I like hearing interesting stories, and I think a lot of people have good advice, you know, especially older people. Not all old people, but you know, a lot of the older people I've met typically have some sort of life lesson they can pass down to me. And one of my biggest things in my life is that I want to be able to pass down a lot of lessons to my children. Like, I don't want my children to be dumb. I want them to be smart, and I want them to be good people. And like, I was just telling someone the other day, like, one of my biggest fears is like my children or a child of mine comes and asks me for meaningful advice and I have nothing to say. Like, I don't know what I would do in that moment. I just want to be a good dad. And I don't even have kids yet. Like, I just want, I want to set myself up for that.
Dude, look, it's hilarious how similar we are. You know, I too love meaningful, long conversations with people who have wisdom. I'm hungry and thirsty for knowledge and wisdom. I love talking to older people because, like it or not, they have more experience. They have more knowledge in a variety of different sects of life. And so, yeah, I mean, we've known this for a long time. You and I are cut from the same cloth, at least in many, many ways.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious, really.
Yeah.
But, okay, so speaking of... not speaking of anything, why, I'm confused. When did you go from the stealing kid that lied and was around drugs?
Oh, yeah.
When was a pivotal time in your life?
Yeah, sorry, I'm bouncing around a lot.
No, I was bouncing around. It's a conversation, man. We start talking about whatever we talk about.
Yeah.
There's no script.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'd say there was kind of a lot of pivotal moments. I think like the first one really was like in 7th grade. That's when people kind of stopped picking on me and I started like hanging out with people more often and kind of getting used to actually being around friends and stuff. Like, it's crazy to say, but like up until 7th grade, I did not hang out with anybody ever. Like, if I did, it was very, very rare.
What did you do with your time?
I played video games and I explored my farm, and like I could always find something to occupy my mind. But just being around people just has never really been a big. It's never been something I've been able to do super well.
You're introverted.
Yeah, but I can act like an extrovert. Like, I am introverted, like deep down, but my persona, like what I show to everybody else around the world, like everybody I see every day, I'd say I'm pretty extroverted in that.
Well, that's very introspective of you to
Yeah.
know that about yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Do you force yourself to be extroverted? Or are you just sometimes drawn to be that way?
No, I think it's forcing myself a little bit. No, it's kind of a mix, because like I was just saying, like, I like to learn about people, but most of the time I'm so focused on the stuff I'm really interested in that like everything else is just noise. Like sometimes I'll have a conversation with somebody on the street, like a stranger, and I won't care about anything they're saying. I'm just like, dude, I want to get to what I'm about to go do. But I won't show that. I'll just, act normal and go on about my day and go back to whatever I was interested in doing. Like if I'm on the way to the gym and I see somebody at the gas station who wants to talk to me for an hour, I'm not going to talk to him for an hour.
Mm-hmm. You're in or you're out. You're not like always in a constant, I'm always willing to listen. It's like, depends. That's all. It just depends on the situation.
And that's kind of selfish though, because it's like, okay, well, I'm only going to listen to you if you have something valuable to offer me, like valuable words,
You could say it's that, or you could say you know what you want, you know what you're interested in, you know what you want to go do.
That's a better way to look at it, yeah.
Well, tell me about when did things change?
Yeah,
pivotal time. Was it high school? Was it junior high, or what?
7th grade, that's when I started like being around, like hanging out with people more often. And then I was still failing classes and stuff in 7th and 8th grade. I barely passed 7th and 8th grade, actually. And then when I got to high school, I was still not doing well with school. I just didn't really care about it. And then after a year, I had failed, I think, 2 or 3 classes, and I had to retake them my sophomore year. And so I was in classes with freshmen, and I was so embarrassed. And that goes back to what I said earlier, like embarrassment, it changes you, and it's totally necessary. You need it. And failing those classes, like that made me be like, all right, this is so embarrassing. I'm not, or at least I'm going to try not to fail a class ever again. And for the rest of high school, I didn't. And then everything else I started working on was like kind of my behavior. Like I just kind of try to figure myself out really throughout high school. I'm still trying to do that. But my sophomore year, that's like, I just felt like I needed to do something extraordinary. Like I need to prove myself, I guess. Like, and I feel like if I didn't come from the background that I did, I don't think I would be as determined to make something of myself. Cause like, I want to show the world, like I can do this. Like I can do anything I want. I can become anything I want. Anything I set my mind to, I can do.
Who told you that? Who told you that you could do that? You know, because kids don't just, maybe they do sometimes like, wait a minute, I can become anything. I'm good enough. Not really the case with kids that grow up in your situations. Like, okay, I see everyone around me is doing drugs and not doing too well and is pretty, you know, kind of messed up. What made you believe that you could do whatever you want?
I mean, you told me that a lot, like in wrestling and stuff, and I didn't believe it for a while, but I mean, I think after I did a couple of things that were really, really hard, like that kind of proved to myself, like, you know what, I can do anything. Like when I weighed like 200 pounds my first year of wrestling, like I was a fat kid, and then I cut and I went down to like 145. I was the leanest I ever was. I was 4% body fat. I literally could not believe how I looked. And that was one of the things that was like, you know what, maybe I actually can do these things. Because like I've never seen anybody else look like that. Not to toot my own horn, but
it was incredible though.
Yeah, yeah. Like that really kind of showed me. And then
hey, how'd you get your cup again?
Oh yeah, my bad. And then
so you're 4%. Yeah, that was nuts.
Yeah. That really just kind of showed me like, all right, you know what, if I can have the discipline to do this, I can probably do a lot of other really tough things. I think another thing too is like the music I listen to. Like I wasn't huge into like Kanye West when I was younger, but I got into him when I was older, and a lot of people know him as like
show him the tat, man.
Believing in himself and stuff like that. I got the you can't see it. Hold up.
It's like perfectly.
Yeah. Well, my shoulder's covering it. Yeah. That's the teddy bear from the Graduation album.
I mean, he must be super meaningful for you if you're willing to get a tattoo like that.
Yeah. This art in particular, I saw when I was little. I heard the song "Flashing Lights" by Kanye on the radio, and I was obsessed with it. And that's been like my favorite song ever since then. And this was on that album cover. And this piece of art, like I draw it all the time, and I have it like, it's almost weird how much I like it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it must have spoke to you in some way.
Yeah. It like, I just like how Kanye is all about being yourself no matter what anybody has to say. Like he said some obnoxious things, and but he's himself unapologetically. And I love that. And I don't want to be like any average, ordinary citizen. So I align with how he thinks very well, I think.
So it was wrestling, and I didn't know you were going to say me in there, by the way. I didn't set him up for that. Like, tell him who did that. No, like, so it was.
You might have forgot. Like, I don't forget stuff like that. Like, to me, that would have been more significant than probably to you saying it to me.
Right. Well, yeah. We remember the pivotal moments. But like, so you started to realize. I remember Tom Brand's Iowa head coach saying, someone asked, how do you get kids to believe in what you're doing? And he said, I love how simple he puts things. He said, we get them ready to do really hard things that they say they can't do, that they don't think they can do. And we get them through it, and so when they do it, they realize, hey, I can do a lot of things that these guys tell me to do, especially if I just kind of stick with them. You get them to realize that they can do more than they ever thought, and then it's like, well, show me then, and that's how kids kind of buy in. But there's something about, and it's also neurological. if you witness yourself do something that you've never done, it opens the floodgates to, well, what else can I do that I've never done? It's like, technically speaking, there's one thing. Maybe I can do a million other things that I haven't done yet. It's just, but you got to go look to do a hard thing that you kind of doubt you can do. That's an extreme challenge. You got to undertake it just once, and it could change your life. And for you, it was weight cutting, it seems like.
Yeah, just, I mean, like it looked like a night and day difference to me, and I just could not believe I did that.
I'm gonna put up a little picture at this point.
Okay.
Oh no, I won't do it now. You know what? Maybe I can do it now. Keep talking a little bit. So
yeah.
So why was that meaningful for you?
Well, kind of like we just said, like I just couldn't believe I was able to do that, and then I think also having wrestling too, like that humbled me quite a bit. Like sometimes I think I have a pretty big head, but before wrestling, I had a really big head, and I got my butt kicked a lot. And
well, in what way did you have a big head?
Like
I feel like you're one of the most humble people I've ever met, to an annoying extent.
Well, sometimes I get into a bad habit of being like really arrogant and thinking, like it kind of ties back in with saying I think I can do anything I put my mind to, I can do. Sometimes I think, you know, I overestimate my ability. Like sometimes I think I'm smarter than I am, and I might act that way, and then, you know, I'll get humbled. Like somebody will be like, "No, that's not how it is, actually." And
that always sucks when you're like, as a kid, I remember times where I'd be like, blah 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 blah, and actually this and this, and all of a sudden I don't realize, but I just said something that's completely wrong, and someone calls me out, and it's like, I should watch that. Yeah,
and for me, I thought like, okay, you know, like I'm kind of a bulky kid. I feel like I could defend myself pretty well. And then I went into wrestling, and that's when I got my butt kicked. I'm like, wow, I really don't know anything, you know? So
Here, I got that picture. Boom.
Oh.
Holy smokes, dude.
Yeah.
That's wild. Is it weird looking at that? Do you still look like that?
Not at the moment. I weigh 210 right now. That right there in that picture, I don't think I'm 145. I think I'm like 160 in that picture. I don't think I have a picture of me at 145.
Were you anorexic here at all? I should watch what I say. That's a sensitive subject. But did you have a bad relationship with food?
Ish. Like it was kind of like I don't really know. Like it was like I was choosing not to eat as much. Obviously, that's what you have to do on a diet. And I was eating really healthy food. I'd say some days I'd probably, eat a little less on purpose, maybe a little less than I should have. So yeah, a little bit maybe.
Okay. Well, I want to ask, you were at this time in your life, you were really lean. You were, you're an adult at this point. You kind of graduate high school, do the whole thing, and things are going relatively okay. But I do know there was a rough patch in your life, and if you're willing to talk about it, I would love to talk about it. But before we get into that, we're on a kind of a high note here. I want to say thanks to a couple wonderful sponsors. So I'd like to take a quick second to say thanks to, first of all, Fairbury Furniture, because Fairbury Furniture is Central Illinois' champion. You know something about being a champion furniture store. Wouldn't you agree with that, Tristan?
Yeah, that's a champion store.
It's a champion store, no doubt. This family-owned business offers a vast selection of premium furniture items from all of your favorite brands, including Sealy, Best Home Furnishings, Leather Italia, Tempur-Pedic, and Ashley, just to name a few. And right next door to their gorgeous 7,000-square-foot furniture showroom, you will find the Fairbury Furniture Mattress Store, home to all the latest and greatest mattresses in any and all sizes. Have you ever slept on a terrible mattress, Garland?
Yeah, actually, most of my life I did.
Yep. Yeah. It was probably pretty terrible, wasn't it?
Yeah, it sucked. My back hurt.
So you should definitely check out the Fairbury Furniture Mattress Store. So here at Fairbury Furniture, the staff is helpful and friendly, and they're all well stocked with all the mattresses, tables, chairs, recliners, couches, rugs, and decorative pillows that your heart could possibly desire. So make your home interior beautiful, comfortable, stylish, and delightful when you shop at Fairbury's own Fairbury Furniture, located in, of course, Fairbury, Illinois. Great place, great people. Let's see if I can actually pull this up now. In addition to iconic, another iconic business in Fairbury, Illinois is Dave's Supermarket in Fairbury. They are the champion grocery store in Central Illinois and, dare I say, the world. So here's a quick message from them. Since 1950, Dave's Supermarket in Fairbury has been wowing customers throughout Central Illinois with their unmatched customer service, delectable deli market, beloved grocery carryout service, and many other fortes, which is why they've earned hundreds of 5-star reviews online. Dave's 3rd Street Deli has plenty of seating and is a destination place to meet your family and friends for good food, fun, and fellowship. Not only is their home-style fried chicken here the best around, but you can also enjoy free coffee and 50-cent ice cream every single day. And be sure to check out their Old World Bakery while you're here, where freshly baked goods are prepared every morning. You'll find hundreds of unique and signature items here at Dave's that you won't find anywhere else, like their famous potato salad, ham loaf, and canned meats, just to name a few. Dave's Supermarket is open Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. and offers online shopping and curbside services. Come experience this revered location that puts the super in supermarket when you shop at Dave's in Fairbury, Illinois, wowing the customer for over 70 years. Right, we're back. That was interesting. That was the first time I've ever done that type of thing. But so now I want to talk a little bit about, you know, your life after high school. Things get interesting. You know, you're big into working out, and well, I'll kind of let you take the reins here and tell me about this chapter in your life where things became incredibly difficult for you.
I started going to school at Heartland, and I really liked that, and I was doing acting and stuff. And then over the summer of 2019, I started talking to this girl I really liked. And this was my first relationship I ever had. I don't know if I should call it a relationship or not, because I never officially asked this person out, but we were hanging out every single day and, you know, acting like a couple. So I thought we were in a relationship. But anyways, we were together for a couple months, and that was fine. And I think I realized a lot about myself. Like, I'm kind of a distant lover a little bit. Like, I'm not very physically affectionate. I have trouble getting close to people like that, and, you know, being vulnerable physically and stuff. And so that kind of bothered this person a little bit, you know, like,
hey, why the heck aren't you loving me physically? You had different love languages.
Yeah, and I'd never had a girlfriend before, so I didn't really, like, I'd liked girls in the past. I've liked plenty of people, but I've never actually been in a relationship up until this point in my life, so I didn't really know what to do, how to just be in a relationship in general. And so, you know, kind of neglect, really, to her, which I'm sure, you know, made her very sad and stuff. And at the time, I didn't really realize that. You know, I just kind of focused on what I'm doing, like focus on my lifting, focus on, you know, doing all that. And I think somewhere in there that kind of, you know, deeply affected that girl. And sorry, I'm trying to word it right.
Take your time, man. People have a bad habit of trying to get it out, and they screw it all up, so take your time.
Yeah. I don't know whether or not to mention.
You don't have to say names or anything, of course. So.
No, I mean that we had sex.
Oh, well, it's live, so.
It is not live.
It's streaming right now.
You swear?
No.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Well, yeah, mention it, man. I mean, your call. You don't have to if it's that personal, but I mean, people can learn from it.
Yeah, no, that's true. You're right. Okay.
Only do what you feel comfortable with. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Well, okay, so there was this girl, and like I was saying, you know, I was kind of neglecting her in that physical way, in that part of our relationship. And I also had just became Catholic not that long ago before our relationship, so I'm very particular about what I'm willing to do and what I am not willing to do physically. And I have not always been that way. I used to, you know, kind of throw myself at everybody, which is a bad habit. But anyways,
Did you lose your spot or just hesitant?
I lost my spot.
Okay, well, so you just became Catholic, and you were with this girl, and she was getting upset that you weren't speaking the same love language as she was, which was physical affection. Mm-hmm. And I'm guessing things started to kind of like mount and...
Well, okay, so things kind of, like, I think she acted like stuff was kind of normal, but...
Like stuff was kind of normal.
Yeah, like it wasn't... Like, I don't think she let me... I don't think she showed me that she was really struggling. And I think eventually that led her to kind of look elsewhere because she wasn't getting what she wanted from me. And anyways, so I think things are normal. I feel like things are normal.
You don't suspect any upsetness on her part?
Yeah, because like I said, I don't know what I'm doing. This is my first relationship. I don't want to use that as an excuse either.
But you were naive.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And eventually I do kind of open up and I'm like, okay, I will be physically affectionate. I will give you this gift of sexual intercourse. And I don't look at it as just sex. I look at it as the most beautiful, vulnerable thing you can give to another person. So it is very sacred, very particular, and you're not supposed to do it before marriage, obviously. But somehow I justified it in my head, and I said, okay, I'm going to do this. And so we did that, and then a couple days later, she moved to Arizona, and I was rollerblading here in Normal, like around Uptown Circle, and she FaceTimed me. She was being really weird, and my phone died while I was FaceTiming her, and so I'm like, okay, well, no big deal. So I skate around for a little while longer, and then I go home, and I plug my phone in, and I get this, once my phone turns on, I have this super long message saying, basically like, hey, we got to be done. And I was so, like, this is another time in my life where I was humbled a lot, I could not believe that just happened. Like, I literally could not believe I just gave my body to this person and received their body, and now they're gone. Like,
what did that do to your mind?
I mean, it made me feel like, okay, maybe I'm not as much of a hotshot as I think I am, and I really started to get really depressed for a while. And like I was saying earlier, my thoughts are nonstop, so it got especially bad during this time to where I couldn't even sleep, and I would often get up like in the middle of the night because I couldn't sleep, and you had actually given me the advice to write my thoughts down, and I felt like if I could get up and walk around and write my thoughts down, like that'd give me something to do, and it'd give me give me a little exercise, like I'm walking. So I would walk around like campus area, because that's kind of where I lived at, ISU campus area, and I would walk around and I would just write everything I was thinking. And I actually found the book today. I should have brought it with me that had everything I wrote in it, and it was crazy looking at it because it's like, dude, like you can even see in the way things were written, like it's very
when it
quick,
starts getting a little crazy,
scratchy. Yeah, yeah. And it's, man, like I tried to put myself into that, where my head was at that time, and I couldn't do it. Like, it's crazy. It was really just kind of the lowest of the low. And then after, I don't know, like, well, actually, I guess I should go back to what happened right after she sent me this message. So, excuse me.
It's fine.
Yeah. So I got this message, and I'm like,
I'm sorry. Just continue. My bad.
No, you're good. My bad. I got this message, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, what the, like I get slightly irritated, and she's like, I'd love to still be friends. You're just too far away. And I'm like, no, I don't think that's gonna work. I just I don't want to be your friend.
I'm so sorry.
The burp.
Yeah.
My bad. No, that slipped. I didn't even.
No, I don't care at all. It's perfectly fine. I'm just laughing at it, and it's the worst time to laugh. Please continue. This episode's nuts.
No, that's okay.
It's very good. You're saying something very vulnerable. I'm sorry I laughed.
No,
it wasn't at that.
It's the burp was funny.
Okay. Continue.
But
so she was saying, I wish we could still be friends, but you're just too far away.
Yeah. She was like, you're too far away, and I would love to still be friends with you if that's what you want. And I said, no, actually, me being arrogant, thinking, I'm too good to be friends with you. Like I have to be in a relationship with you.
That, or maybe you just knew it was best for yourself.
Well, or maybe it's, I knew what I wanted, and I wanted that really badly. Maybe not in a good way. Like it's almost like trying to control her a little bit. Like, no, you can't leave me, a little bit. But
okay,
am I wrong? I don't know.
I don't know. It's more clear in your mind. I just thought it was like, we can still be friends, but you knew like if being friends with you would be torture, as it usually is with someone you just break up with.
That's kind of the way I was looking at it, because I was like,
I don't mean to put words in your mouth or anything.
No, that's what I was trying to say, but I couldn't get it out.
Okay.
Anyway, so I kind of tell her, like, no, I don't really want to do that. I'm sorry. And then the next day, I think that was kind of like the end of our conversation for that day, or maybe I said some more stuff. I don't know. There's probably a little bickering going on back and forth. But then the next day, I completely had a total attitude change, and I was like, you know what? Like, I'm really mad about this. Like, I am PO'd. I'm furious, and I can't hold it in. And so I kind of just unleashed all that on her, and I just would not stop bugging her for a while. And over the course of a couple of weeks, I would find out more and more stuff. Like, she was having sex with her ex-boyfriend while she was with me. And that goes back to what I said. Like, I thought we were in a relationship because we were acting like people who were in a relationship. We're hanging out every day. We're, smooching. And
so that's not...
and talking about getting married. And,
that had to wreck you to find out that she was sleeping with another guy when she was with you.
Yeah,
I'm glad we didn't name her name or anything, but
yeah,
I never met her.
I don't want to bash her, but I also want to tell the truth here.
Sure.
Like, I did bad stuff here, and she did bad stuff as well. But anyway, so yeah, that happened. I found that out, and like that just brought up the thought in my head, blinking all the time, like, I really can't believe somebody did this to me. And that, that put me even further down that hole. And eventually, I just was struggling so much. I literally thought at one point that my life was not worth living anymore. I just thought I had failed, like, enormously. I was like, I just gave my body to this person. You can't undo that. You can't lose your virginity again. I have to tell my future wife that I'm not a virgin, and like just the thought of failing so badly. It's like, okay, she wasn't the one. And also, she had sex with these people, or this guy, I shouldn't say people, her ex-boyfriend. And then it just kind of snowballed. And I started having suicidal thoughts, and, I didn't feel like I could talk to people about it. And I would come to you a lot because I didn't really feel comfortable talking to most people about it. And then one day, I don't know what in particular the trigger was. That's how insignificant, like, what how do I say this? Whatever happened that day was insignificant to me now. I can't remember it. But it triggered me, and I was like, you know what? Today's the day. I'm just going to do it. And I went to Walmart, and I got a rope, and I started, like, looking up how to tie a noose and all that stuff. And then I would eventually try to actually commit suicide. And I couldn't do it. Like, I started thinking, I'm going to go to hell. Like, what am I going to commit a mortal sin and then die? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that terrified me enough that I had to like stop, and I had to be like, okay, what am I doing? Like, I've got to stay alive. I've got to just face the suffering. I've got to survive somehow. And yeah, sorry, you're giving me a weird face.
So sorry. It hurts. It hurts to hear that. It really does. And I'm just so glad you're still here, dude. Oh my gosh. My goodness. I'm sorry I was making faces, but man, it hurts. It hurts because I know you so personally. Yeah. And I remember that time. And
yeah, I remember that day I called you, and I'll never forget this moment. We met up really quick after I called you. I was like, dude, I'm having some problems. And we met up at Blaze Pizza. And he came over to me, and he gave me a big hug, and he was like, I almost lost my best friend today. And, I think about that moment often, and it makes me cry because it's like, dude, that's crazy. Like,
because I love you, dude. I love you. I do. Yeah. I do. We're much more like brothers than we are friends 90% of the time. I mean, really. So, yeah, that was nuts. That hurt. That was so... I was ecstatic, though, that you were alive still, because it's like, all right, man. It's just like, yeah, first of all, I'm not a professional, but we got to figure something out. We got to figure something out together. I'm not, I can't do anything really. I'm not a professional, but I can at least help in some way. And like, what happened after that time? Because first of all, I want to just say, I want to know what went through your mind. Was it just mortal sin, can't do it, don't want to go to hell? Or was it something else like, hey, maybe I can get through this. Maybe I don't need to do this. Maybe the best of my life is still to be lived. Like, tell me, let's start there. Like,
well, I think a big thing of it was like, I was really scared to go to hell, but I was also like, dude, like, if I do this, like, that's just going to show people like I didn't become anything. I failed myself, and that's not what I'm here to do. Like, I want to do something significant, whatever that is. I want to leave a mark here on Earth. So that was kind of something that, it was like, I mean, survival instincts kicking in, but it's like I'm trying to die in, dude, I don't know how to talk right now.
You're fine. Keep going. I was following. It's survival instincts, but you were trying
to kill myself.
Right. Well, it's like, it was like
probably adrenaline.
A part of inside of you it was some part deep down inside of you's last hurrah. Like, hey, remember, you have a lot of life to live, and you have to live a meaningful life. You have work to do yet. Like, something inside of you screaming out. It was like, that's survival instinct inside you.
You're better describing it than me.
Well, it's because I don't mean to sound... It's because I journal. You said that one of the favorite quotes that I've heard is, you don't know anything, you don't know what you think until you write it down. There's something about writing things down. You can't ramble on paper because your hand will get tired. So you articulate your thoughts, and all of a sudden you know what you think. And I think doing that often enough has strangely led me to not stutter and say and too much. And it just helps me to conceptualize and articulate abstract thoughts, otherwise they're just floating in your mind. But so it was like that part of you's last hurrah. It was like that part of you's survival instinct saying, hey, it was calling out to you to beg you to not follow through with this. And I also want to say, given what you went through, I've heard it described by psychologists as, especially for you were 18, you gave your virginity, or 19 or 20 or something, gave your virginity to this girl, which is the largest investment you've ever made, the largest leap of faith you've ever made, the most meaningful investment and leap of faith that you've ever taken in your life. And shortly thereafter, in this person that you put all your trust in and love towards and gave your body to, you more or less started building your house on this foundation. It's like, all right, this is a big move. You picked the foundation, all of a sudden it crumbled out from under you. And it's like, well, you just swept the rug out from under me, and I had put all my possessions on that. And it's just like, who else can I trust? What is life? What is anything? It just totally uprooted everything you had known, and that happens to people sometimes, and it can just throw them through, like, I mean, it's just psychological chaos.
Yeah.
It's literally chaos because nothing is as it should and everything is a mystery. You don't really know anything anymore.
I'm glad you explained that, because I worry a lot of people will hear me talk about that and they'll be like, oh, well, he tried to kill himself over a girl. It's like, when you look at it simply like that, yeah, it's probably comical, I guess.
Just because you can put the whole situation in one sentence does not mean you give the correct amount of merit to the significance of the situation at all. Yeah, it's crazy. Mm-hmm. People are idiots, dude. They kill himself over a girl, must be mentally weak. Are you nuts? Like, some people are just dumb, man. Screw them.
Yeah. But yeah, so that happened, and then obviously I met up with you, and then after that I was like, okay, like you did explain, like, I'm not a professional. I can't, there's only so much I can do, and I took that, and I started meeting with a psychologist regularly, and I haven't been meeting with one as frequent as I did during that time. I just haven't felt like I have needed it as much, and like I said, I use people for my therapy really anyways. I just kind of talk to anybody about anything I want.
What did the psychologist tell you? How did you recover from this moment?
Just time passing by, and I think really focusing on my passions, like lifting, and actually at this time in particular, this is when I started getting interested in psychology, because I'm like, okay, I clearly don't understand how people work well enough. I wasn't a very good boyfriend to this person, and I made her look elsewhere, and or not made her, but I probably led her to do that because I was neglecting her, and so in an effort to understand myself better and other people better, I started getting interested in psychology, and I've just kind of since then been diving into it, and that's what I want to do professionally when I get older. I want to be a psychologist.
Very interesting. Well, they do say that a lot of people get into the field of psychology because they get psychologically thrown for a loop in their own lives, and they're like, well, that was interesting.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's. I mean, so many people I've met her.
How are you doing now?
Pretty. I mean, I'd say the best I've been in a long time. Like, I just feel like I have control over my life, and I'm working on cutting again right now. I wanna get back down.
Cutting. Watch what you're saying here. So like cutting, you mean
cutting weight?
Fat.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
I'm working on cutting again.
Yeah,
I'm doing it.
Sorry, it's like when you're talking to another wrestler.
Joked about that. Yeah. Yes. Continue.
Yeah, you just don't think anything about it when you say cutting to a wrestler.
I'm starting to cut again.
Yeah. That's something I'm working on, and I mean,
you look good. You look healthy. You look
thanks. Lean. I'm trying. And I'm trying to find like something new to become obsessed with, like, and to work on and get good at. Like, I've noticed a pattern for me my whole life is I find something I want to get good at, and then I get really good at it, and then I start something else. Like I'm like a jack of all trades.
You know how that whole saying goes?
No, explain it.
It goes, jack of all trades, master of none, but always better than a master of one.
Yeah.
Some people knock on being a jack of all trades, but it's incredibly valuable. It's always better than being a master of one.
Yeah.
So good for you.
Yeah, I don't know, like particularly there are a few things I've always been able to focus on really well and get really good at, like not always actually, because I haven't been doing these things since I was a kid, like skating, rollerblading. I picked that up a couple years ago, and I would skate 4 or 5 hours a day. And I picked that up because Joey showed it to me. He was like, dude, let's skate. It's good exercise. It's better for your knees than running, and it's just fun. And so we did that, and the first time we ever skated, like, he handed me one of his bags, and my balance is terrible, so I'm falling all over the place, and I'm totally embarrassed. And then after that, I was like, you know what? The next time I see you, I'm going to be better than you at skating. And he's been skating much longer than me, so that's obviously a long shot. But then a couple months later, I can skate pretty good. Probably not better than him, but I was pretty good at that time. And then about I think after like maybe a year or so, I think I passed him up. Like I can skate backwards. I can go off ramps. They're twice as tall as me. Like I take a lot of pride in that. Like just
in your blading abilities.
Yeah.
You hear that, Joey? You think that's true? He's better than you?
Yeah.
Let me know in the comments.
Yeah, let me know in the comments.
Well, Garland, dude, you've lived one heck of a life. It's fantastic seeing where you're at right now, and I think sky's really the limits. And if you just keep remembering that, you know, you're gonna be good to go. You've got charisma. You're hilarious, by the way. You're a funny guy, and they barely got to see a glimpse of that. But no, man, you're a good man, and thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it a lot.
Thanks for inviting me on.
My pleasure. All
right.
right. Hey, before we wrap this thing up, though, thank you everyone so much for watching this episode of The Paul Garcia Show. If you appreciate this episode, please give it a like, leave a comment, and give it a share for Garland's sake. And, right?
Yeah, for me. Yep.
Right.
Go ahead.
Okay, if you appreciate this
comment.
show, a fantastic and zero-cost way to support it is by subscribing to my page on YouTube and liking my page on Facebook and following it on Instagram. And if you'd like to support this show's production financially, please consider becoming a patron on patreon.com/Paul Garcia, where you can get early access to each and every episode and have your name run across the screen at the beginning of every episode as well, all for as little as $1 a month. Also, you can even donate to my show on Venmo, any dollar amount to @username The Paul Garcia Show. Until next time, I'm your host, Paul Garcia. God bless and have a great week. And thanks for bearing with me. This is the first time that I've done the ads actually during recording. Garland, how do you think that went? You know, it could have been better. Well said.
Yeah, it could have been
Thank
better,
you so
yeah.
much, everyone. God bless and have a great week.